'cause music makes me high. If I only got one more night, I'm gonna leave.
What up? What up? What up? It's your boy, Mr. Von. Mr. Von Channel Sweatbox. We back. We live. We active here on the channel. Yes, indeed. You know how we do. Still dodging those digital jabs, baby. Today, we are talking about Alien Romulus. Spoiler alert. I'm talking spoilers. This movie was phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's so phenomenal that I'm getting this review up actually early. If you see, because in fact, I just got my Deadpool Wolverine review up, and I'm just now getting my Twisters review up. Alien Romulus just came out this weekend. I just saw it yesterday. Phenomenal movie. I cannot wait. So let's talk about it, man. Like I said, spoilers if you haven't seen it. Spoilers for all the other Alien movies in the franchise. Let's get into it. Alien Romulus, directed by my man Fede Alvarez, who directed Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, both really good movies. So Fede has got he's earned his stripes in the horror genre, and this is also produced by Ridley Scott. So you know he had to get Ridley Scott to co-sign off on this, and you can tell this whole film is just a throwback. Let's just point out from the top, this is the third best film in the series, right behind the OG's Aliens. Two best films ever in the series. Two of the best films ever made, not just of a genre, period. Alien and Aliens, two of the best films ever made, period. So I'm not even arguing. Go argue with go argue with your stank booty mama about that. I ain't arguing with you about that. But Alien Romulus, as far as in this series, absolutely the best movie since Aliens, 1986, 1984, whatever that movie came out. So we're starring Kaylee Spaney. I seen her. She's having a big year. She crushed it in Civil War earlier this year. She crushes it into this. She really steps into that Ripley role that has been basically stepped into by a lot of people. Was Noomi Rapace in Prometheus. I don't remember the girl's name from Alien Covenant who played her, but yeah. Kaylee Spaney steps in and she does a great job. Her backstory, her and her brother Andy, who's played by, I'm gonna give him his props. I'm gonna take the time to look at base. He plays the synthetic in this movie. He does such a great job of going back and forth between simplistic and I don't want to say dumb because that's just his programming, but simplistic to genius, borderline scary psychopath when he gets the chip upgrade from Rook, and we'll get to all of that in 1 second. But he really, really did a good job as Andy, and his name is David Johnson. David Johnson. So shouts out to David Johnson. That's the first thing I've seen him, and he's been in some other stuff, but it's nothing that I've seen. But he crushes it as Andy. You know what I'm saying? And there's some other people in this movie. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got the dude from the trailer. There's something in the water. There's something in the fucking water. You know what I'm saying? That guy, he's in it. And then the dude who plays her boyfriend. Oh, and Isabella Merced. Yeah, she's really pretty. She's in it also. Yeah, that's about it, man. It's a really small cast. Obviously, they all get murdered. And then they bring back Ian Holmes, rest in peace. They bring back his likeness to play the droid Rook, which was actually kind of a surprise. I actually kind of didn't see that coming. I should have seen it coming, and in hindsight, I was like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. But in the moment, I was so enthralled engulfed in what was happening when they come across the dead android that was half melted. I was like, I didn't even think that was going to be an Ian Holmes. I was like, I just figured it was going to be a droid. Again, let me just point out, this movie pays so much homage to the previous Alien movies, to everything in the Alien franchise, including Alien Isolation. There were so many moments in Alien Isolation, up until they had the phone booths, they had the little phones from Alien Isolation that you use for save points. They had those. They even had there was one point when they're first entering the building, they had the little lever that you had to press multiple times to get like power going, like you did in the game. They had they had the vents that you crawl through. This movie's the atmosphere of this movie, the tone of this movie, the pacing of this movie, awesome. Edge of your seat, really. This movie was so good. It was so good. And just, again, for some more reference and backstory, the Alien franchise is one of the few. I enjoy a good horror film. I like them, but most of them aren't scary. Some of them are creepy. The last few years, A24 has been putting out the creepiest movies, well, with Hereditary and Midsommar and The Witch, all really creepy films. You know what I'm saying? But again, jump scares are whack to me, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But creepy is, you know what I'm saying? But the Alien franchise, as a child, I watched Aliens when I was like 10. Okay? Yeah. Scarred for life immediately. I didn't see Aliens probably like a year later. I didn't see Alien till probably like a year later when I was like 11 or 12 after I had seen Aliens. I was like, I gotta go. There's a one before this? Let me go watch that. And then I was scarred all over again from the, you know what I'm saying? I was like 11 years old. Why would you watch that at 11 years old? That's why I'm so perfectly functioning now, because I watched stuff like that. Until the 80s was different, man. The 80s was different. Aliens came on channel 11. It was so bad. Movie was awesome though. And here's a crazy thing. I'm totally sidetracked, but the first version of Aliens that I ever saw was the director's version, because they aired it on TV. At least the scene with the Century turrets, when they're with the Century to that whole scene, that was like the first scene I ever saw. The first thing that's the first scene I remember from that movie. Anyway, back to Alien Romulus. This movie is so awesome. Like I said, so starts out, Kaylee Spaney and her whole crew are trapped on this Weyland-Yutani planet it's one of the terraforming planets. You see the big cooling tower that they have, the atmosphere processor that you see on LV-426, that you saw in LV-426 back in Aliens. They have one of those now, and it's up and running. It's a whole like city. It's a whole bunch of people, and they've been there for years, trying to work off their debt. Kaylee Spaney and her crew. Kaylee Spaney realized she thinks she can get off. She's got her hours. She goes to the office. They say, no, we doubled your hours. You got to be here for 5 more years. She's like, so then her little crew calls her up. Yeah, look, there's this little space station up there. They got some cryopods. We get in those. We just go to sleep for 9 years. Boom, we wake up in paradise. Boom, let's do it. She was like, what do you need me for? She said, we actually need Andy because it's Weyland-Yutani, and so he can interact with Mother. You say you remember Mother being the computer from the original Alien. So she agrees. And they get up to the Renaissance station, which is split in 2 halves, Romulus and Remus. Okay? The whole station is called Renaissance. And again, the station itself is given real Sevastopol station vibes. Because you know how when you play Alien Isolation, there's parts of Sevastopol Station that look like classic Alien with the all whites, you know what I'm saying? But then there's parts of it that look kind of like Aliens with older and stuff like that. So man, the vibe is they do such a great job. Fede Alvarez does such a good job of blending the old and the new and just making this feel. There was a lot of practical effects, especially with the face huggers and stuff like that. Face huggers have never been more terrifying. The scene when they're in the red room, there's something in the fucking water, man. I was on the edge of my seat, and nobody even got gotten that one. That was a crazy scene. When old girl finally got the face hugger on her, man, I was just like, it was bad. Like, it plays out pretty much like you see in the trailers and everything. But when that chest bridge came out, oh, she died brutally. Man, she died brutally. Fede Alvarez knows how to be. She died brutally. It was bad. And then there was the scene when they take the face hugger off of her, and you see how deep down the thing was. I was like, don't show none of that. That was all very graphic. Okay, so then my girl Isabella, she is pregnant. Okay, and she goes through it. Low key, she probably had the worst time of everybody in the movie because she went through it. She's first on the ship because she didn't even go aboard Renaissance station. She stays on the ship the whole time, basically. Okay, she's on the ship when they come back aboard after they run away from Andy and Kaylee Spaney's character, because Andy was like, we gotta kill her, bro. She's infected. We can't let her back on the ship. So then they run, they leave them, and they get back on the ship. Isabella's like, what's going on? It's like, no. She's right there when the chest burster comes out of old girl. And she's blood all over, so she's immediately scarred for life. And she's pregnant, like she's pregnant. She doesn't need this type of trauma in her life. So then, after that, she's trapped on the ship with the alien. Okay, the other dude, which apparently was her baby's dad, he tries to help her. They find the alien and it's cocooned up against the wall. My man takes the shock stick that he'd been using all the whole movie. He used it earlier to zap Andy so they could get away to get to the ship. He takes the shock stick, and this was actually not a bad idea. He still didn't do it right, but this wasn't a bad idea. He takes the shock stick and sticks it in the cocoon and tries to kill the alien with the shock stick. And you think it works. He thinks it works because all this acid pours out and starts to melt the thing. When he does that, he like falls, and he falls right underneath. No, that's not what happens. I'm sorry. I totally messed up. The acid does fall. He looks at it, but then when he does, you think it's dead, and you look and you see, no, there's a little claw thing sticking out, right? And he looks at it, and the claw, bam, and it gets him right in the eye. And he's not dead, but he's like, but then he falls. And he falls right underneath the cocoon thing. And you want to talk about graphic deaths? The acid started to drip on him, and that's what killed him. Like at one point you see the acid drips on his finger, and his fingers just start melting away. It's dripping on his arm, and then it just drips into his heart. It like drips onto his heart, and it burns through, and that's just what kills him. He's just dead. And then he like goes to cardiac. It is crazy, right? The whole time Isabella's locked in the room. And she sings, and then the alien just starts climbing out the cocoon, and she's like, guys, help. So finally, while they're doing that, while she's going through it like that, Andy, Kaylee Spaney's character, and her boyfriend are trapped. They got to go through a room that's filled with face huggers. Okay, and so they raise the temperature of the room to match the body temperature of them so the face huggers won't see them. But they're like, Andy tells them, but you can't stress, you can't sweat, nothing, because that's going to change your body temperature and then they'll recognize you. So as they're walking through, Isabella calls her brother and she's like, hey, I kind of need your help. I'm trapped in this room with the alien and I can't get out. He's like, yo, there's a key. And he's like, shut the fuck up, stop talking, shut the fuck up. Meanwhile, the facehuggers is like, what is that? Do I hear something? I don't see it under the door. And so then they make a little too much noise. Andy's like, run. They start booking through the thing, and this is great because this totally reminded me of Alien Isolation when he takes the flare and he throws it to the side, and then the facehuggers go to the flare for a minute. It gives them just a little moment of reprieve, and they finally get to the thing, and they get to the door where Isabella's at, and they're like, Andy, open the door so we can get her out. Andy's like, I can't do that, man. And they're like, why? He said, the alien's right there, bro. He's using her as bait. If we open the door, he gonna kill all of us. So they have to sit there and watch. They're begging like, Andy, nah, for real, bro, open the door. He's like, man, I don't want to die, so I'm not gonna do that. And so they get mad, and then he has to watch as the alien just takes his sister away. And he was like, but at one point, I gotta remember, at one point she's crawling under the vents. Before they get there, she's crawling under the vents trying to escape. And she sees the alien jumps down right on top of her, but it's separated by a grate, by like a metal grate, so it can't get to her. And then the next scene, she sees him dragging the bodies off of the two victims, her boyfriend and the bald-head chick that had the chest burster come. He just drags the bodies off. So she's traumatized. So then she gets captured by the alien. Still, more trauma for her. Okay, Andy, Kaylee Spaney, and the dude, they're trying to get to the ship, which had crashed in the other side of Romulus Station. They have to go through an entire alien nest when they get there. And they're like, no, this is a bad idea. So they're going to go the other way, but then they hear Isabella trapped in a thing, and they go to find her. It's so bad. They get her out. She's bleeding. I don't remember how she's hurt. She's bleeding. So she didn't get a face hugger on her. That's probably the reason why. So then they proceed to get Kaylee Spaney and her proceed to book it out to because her boyfriend, after that, her boyfriend gets killed. Alien comes and bam, severs him right through the chest, just drags him up to the ceiling. He's gone. He's dead. So it's just Kaylee Spaney and Isabella. They make it to the elevator. The whole time, Andy had gotten the black goo from Prometheus, was in a lab. He had got some of that, and he was like, hey, if you put some of that in Isabella, it'll heal her. Kaylee Spaney was like, nah, I don't trust nothing you say. Don't put it in there. So she doesn't put it in, but then when she gets to the ship, she's worried about dying, so she Isabella injects herself with the goo, thinking it's going to heal her. And it does, but it also infects her with an alien baby. The whole time, Kaylee Spaney goes back to save Andy, who had got knocked out by the xenomorph when it killed Kaylee Spaney's girlfriend. She goes and resets him. She takes the corrupt chip out from Rook, because he had put in Rook's chip to get out the room when they was trapped in the room with the facehuggers. So but when he did that, he got upgraded, and that's when he started acting all crazy. He was working for a company, because before he was committed to Rain, which is Kaylee Spaney's character, Rain. I'm just not remembering her name. When he got the chip put in, he was corrupted and was loyal to the company. So she finally took the chip out, and he was back to Rain. Then Rook was like, y'all ain't gonna help me? Well, then I'm not gonna help y'all. Rook is trying to get Isabella to leave them. He's going like, I'm gonna remote pilot the ship. Your friends is already dead. They died so you could escape. Let's get back to this. So she's like, I don't believe you. So she doesn't listen. So then he refuses to help Rain and Andy, and they're trapped in a room with like 7 or 8 alien xenomorphs, full-grown drones coming at you. So she has a pulse rifle, but she can't shoot. She even told, don't shoot, because their acid blood will eat through the space station and we'll all die. So at this point, she was like, I'm gonna turn the gravity off. She turns the gravity off. They all float. She murders all of them, which was awesome. It was an awesome scene. And then all their acid blood was just floating there. So then they have to do the sky maneuvering to avoid the acid blood as they're floating through the space because there's no gravity. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy scene. So then they get back to the ship. Isabella's in the cryo tube. She puts Andy in the cryo tube. She's about to get into the cryo tube when Isabella's alarm goes off. She opens it up. She sees Isabella's super pregnant, about to give birth. She gives birth to an egg, an alien egg. Rain's smart. She tries to take the egg. She's like, I'm getting this thing off the ship. She's immediately trying to carry it off the ship, but then it starts to acid. It starts to have acid on it, and it burns her hand. It starts to eat through the clothes that so she has to drop it, and then the acid eats through the ship, and it goes down to the cargo hold. And then when it starts to open up, you see that the baby is an alien, but it's got a human face, and it looks kind of like the creator things from Prometheus. So then it gets away and it turns into this giant 8-foot tall alien human hybrid that Kaylee Spaney has to fight. This thing is crazy. It kills Isabella because Isabella at this point is now lactating the black goo from Prometheus. The alien comes to try to drink the goo, and then it kills her. It was crazy. This movie was nuts. It was nuts. At the end, Isabella kills the human hybrid thing. The Renaissance station crashes into the rings of the planet, which was a spectacular visual scene. It was awesome. This movie was nuts, man. This movie was nuts. And I loved every minute of it. It was terrifying. It was gross. It was insane. Fede Alvarez, 2 giant thumbs up for Alien Romulus. Go see it again. I can't wait for this movie to come out in the video. That's it. That's the review, man. I'm at 20 minutes. I got to wrap this up. Until next time, you know how we do. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Click those notifications so you know when we upload, man. The travel vlogs. Check them out. Subscribe to me on TikTok. We are headed to Miami. And then we're headed to Nassau. And then we're headed to Half Moon Cay in September. The end of September, we're going. That's the next adventure. That's the next trip. Stay tuned. You know the adventures always continue here on Mr. Von's channel, Sweatbox Travel. Until next time, you know how we do. Peace. 100, y'all.
To the ends with you. I'm a girl.